I'm sitting there watching your post-game show, and, not many times in my current, state of what I'm doing these days do I sit there and miss doing a highlight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Sure.
sit around and sit there and say, man, what a great game. I wish I was doing the highlight. Watching you do the highlight last night made me feel that way. And how, to me, Scott, the way you do it and your show in our world, I'm going to get serious with the TV talk here. In our world where everybody assumes that all executives assume you've seen everything already in the palm of your hand because of what's going on Twitter and everything, that there's no use to stroll us down the way something that we just watched happened. I think that's a bunch of crap. And that's why your show is crucial in my mind in many different ways and the way you do it. I was sitting there going, man, I wish I was doing this highlight right now, watching you do it last night.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. And I appreciate it. But having done it as well and as long as you have, that nobody that loves sports is bummed out to revisit that highlight. Nobody. Like, no one's sitting there at 12 o'clock thinking, well, I just watched this incredible game. You know what I don't want to do? I don't want to hear any more about that. I'm right.
Yeah.
You're sitting there going, holy crap, did that just happen? I want to watch it again. And some highlights are just highlights. But as you know, games like that move you the way sports can move you when they're at their best, you don't have to fake the enthusiasm. You can channel your inner Stuart Scott and just be, moved by the content. And that's what last night's game really was. So and it means a lot to hear you say that, because you've done this, for many years, as have I. And so when you're sitting there thinking this would be a fun highlight to do, I'll tell you, you're right. That was a fun highlight to do.
I mean, so much going on in that game with just the way it started, the way it went back and forth, the way it ended. So before I let you go into the day, I mean, it sure looks like Lamar's back, like the Lamar that can go vertical, the Lamar that he slinged it around when he got it back after Baker Mayfield took the lead, again, or to tie the game again, and he was running. He got 100 yards rushing. I mean, the MVP of 2019, I think for the first time all year, showed up last night, and the Browns are now officially, you could say, not the Browns of old. So, what to make of the aftermath here.
I agree with both those things. The Ravens, and I asked Louis Riddick and Brian Greasy about it. I mean, and there's a bit of cliche in the idea of competitive spirit and the idea of what being a pro looks like. But I think the Ravens demonstrated both those things, right? You got to have this game, and they figured out a way to win that game. And you look at their schedule, and it feels favorable. The problem for the Ravens, in my opinion, is just that the AFC is so crowded that there are more good teams than there are spots available for those good teams. So that becomes the challenge for the Ravens, most notably. But for Cleveland, and Louis Riddick, who played for them and has a connection to the city, said, and I agree, that what happened last night, like, this isn't about years ago and Ernest Biner fumbling and years of quarterbacks that weren't good or whatever. But none of that has anything to do with last night. They played a hell of a football game and they lost. But they played the kind of a game, and Baker Mayfield played the kind of a game where if you were going to face them in the playoffs, you would think, this is not going to be a whole lot of fun, because they were capable of answering every time they had to answer. So I think what you saw were two excellent football teams that played the game of the year, and it felt every bit like a playoff game. And it ended with people pitching it all over the field, and a bonus 2 points at the end that gave us a fun little segue to our goofy little show.
Scott,
so, wins all around.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.